we can start. Welcome, everybody, to our Global Leader Special DC Talks Alumni series, in which we are going to meet some really inspiring leaders. We might call them local leaders. They are thinking globally, they know what's going on in the world, but they're doing something in their communities that's really making a difference. They're giving back. In just a few seconds, I'm going to introduce our president, Dr. Elaine Popp, who has a few words to say about this event and the guests. And then Sally Hillis is going to come in. Sally is the one who has set this whole class up, brought the guests in. She's going to introduce the guests. And then we're going to jump into what I hope will be a memorable interaction with all of the guests that we have here in person, online, as well as all of the students. And by the end of today, in about an hour and 15 minutes or so, for the students who are here, as well as online, you will have a chance to interact one-on-one and network with the guests too. So there's lots of opportunities. A Siwi, Su Young, Vicky, and others here, students, as well as the many joining online to interact, and even maybe a little with the president. Now, I know you have to run, right? So if you do, totally understood. Okay?
No.
Okay.
I just have to be back in my office by 12 o'clock.
12 o'clock? Okay, well, whatever you need to do, no problem. So I just want to thank you all for coming, for something that I think showcases what Durham College is all about, is we lead the way together. And it's thanks to our leadership, Dr. Popp and Sally, and the rest of us, that we can make this happen. So thank you. Elaine, please go ahead.
Great. Thank you very much, Lon. And thank you to the Durham College Alumni Association for inviting me to be part of today's class. Before we get too far underway, I would like to take a moment to get us started in a good way. And I'd like to express gratitude and honor the Indigenous peoples who have lived and worked on this land historically and presently. I'd like to recognize and continue to respect the enduring presence, contributions, and resilience of the Indigenous peoples. Being aware of the reality of our shared history, we must acknowledge that we all have responsibilities to contribute to reconciliation. And we do so by recognizing the past and working towards a shared future as friends and allies. Durham College is situated on the traditional lands of the First Peoples of the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation. These lands are covered under the Williams Treaties and rest within the traditional territory of the Anishinaabeg, which also includes Algonquin, Chippewa, Ottawa, Ojibwe, and Potawatomi. We offer our gratitude to the Indigenous peoples who care for and through the treaty process share the lands on which we live, learn, work, and prosper today. Miigwech. Now, I'm thrilled to be here today to help welcome our panelists and proud DC alumni. We have Chris Cull with us today. Shelby Nelson is on the screen if he's back from his coffee break.
That's right.
Yep. Paula Soho is with us, and Kyle Douglas is with us. Welcome. It's lovely to see all of you again. As Lon mentioned, today's discussion is about the importance of giving back. And with that in mind, these grads are the ideal panelists, each having demonstrated outstanding leadership and deep commitment to their communities, professions, and Durham College. 3 of our panelists, Chris, Shelby, and Paula, have been selected as our 2024 Premier's Award nominees, and we're definitely proud of all of you. The Premier's Awards are administered annually by Colleges Ontario and honor the important social and economic contributions college graduates make to Ontario and throughout the world. More than 100 alumni from colleges across the province are nominated each year, and this year's winners will be selected in just a few days on Monday night, and my fingers are crossed for good news. I also want to recognize Kyle Douglas, who is a member of the Alumni Association Board of Directors and was recently recognized by the Oshawa Chamber of Commerce as the 2024 G.W. McLaughlin Award recipient. Congratulations, Kyle. Many students have taken the knowledge and skills that they've learned here at DC and gone on to make positive, meaningful impacts in the lives of those around them. And it's so wonderful to have three in person, one online, join us today. And we're going to learn a little bit more about how they've done just that. So it's my pleasure now to introduce our moderator for our panel today, and that's Sally Hillis, who's the Senior Alumni Director Officer in the Advancement and Alumni Relations team here at DC. Sally.
Thank you, Elaine. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Elaine. So for those of you who were on our global class page, you will probably have seen that our co-host today with Lon was to be Ariel Sully, who's our Associate VP, and unfortunately, Ariel couldn't be with us today, so I'm pleased to fill in for her. It's interesting, though, because Lon and I started this Alumni Series event about 7 years ago when we were celebrating the 50th anniversary of the college.
Oh, hold on. I think somebody's busy on their keyboard and they have their microphone on. Oh, is it? Oh, well, that's okay. Shelby's.
Sorry about that.
So, are you making a list of Blue Jays players and who's something like that? Go ahead. Yeah, go.
Anyway, as I was saying, we started this event about 7 years ago, and my role has always been to organize and plan the event. But today I'm on the hot seat, so bear with me. I know you've got my back, and we'll have some fun here. So anyway, I do have a short intro that I'd like to read that gives you a bit more context to how we landed on this topic, very important topic of giving back. As I read along here, I am excited to be here today. We have an incredibly inspiring panel of DC alumni, and I know each of them have made an impact in their respective fields. And we're looking forward to hearing from them and learning more about what compelled them to give back to their communities through their work. In the Office of Advancement and Alumni Relations, where I work, we have two areas that we focus on. One is for our alumni, where we create opportunities for the grads to continue leveraging their connection to the college well after graduation through networking events, professional development services, and more than 100 alumni discounts. So if you're a grad and you don't know about the discounts you're entitled to, do see my colleague, Mary Weller, at the end of the class, and she'll be happy to share more. The other aspect of our work is development or fundraising. And our team provides opportunities for people to give back to DC. There's so many people both on and off campus who are a part of the Durham College community and help us ensure students have access to hands-on transformative education. From a business owner who wants to support students in their industry through a scholarship or bursary, to a donor who has helped fund new training equipment or spaces, or an alum who gives back through mentorship or volunteerism. Our college is powered by people who believe in our students and want to help them succeed. And in turn, so much good in our world is powered by people who show that same kindness. And so we hoped through today's discussion, you can hear from our panel and learn how they found success by using their careers as a platform to give back. So that's the end of the commercial. Without further ado, let's turn to our four panelists, 3 in person and Shelby online. And maybe starting alphabetical order, I'll ask each of you to introduce yourselves, tell us where you live and work, what you do for your job, and what you like best about your work. So maybe Chris, if you'd like to start us off, please.
And I'll hand the microphones out. You keep that, and then we're good. And Maureen's on the notes, okay?
Turn mine off.
Turn it off. You have to save battery power. Sustainability. Save batteries. Okay, great. And all right, so I'll help you with this. So I'll turn it on for you. You don't have to worry. And it's sort of karaoke, usually. Like, hold it close. That way everybody can hear you clearly. Okay.
It's been many years since I've done karaoke.
Okay, karaoke and talk. And if anybody online can't hear for some reason, just go into the live chat and say, can't hear you, and we'll get on it, okay? But please go ahead.
Yeah, so my name's Chris Cull. Get the backstory here. In 2007, I was a student at Durham College, well, 2006, 2007, and during that time, my dad, he was a paramedic here in Durham for 27 years. He was diagnosed with Huntington's disease in my late teens. Lost his job, lost his license, will to live. Ended up taking his own life while I was a student at Durham, and his last thing told me he wanted me to finish school, and so I powered through after he passed away and graduated, but I completely fell apart afterwards. That subsequently led to opioid addiction that lasted 8.5 years. 5 years on methadone, got down to 139 pounds, stealing my food to eat, and then it's a very long story, so I'm not going to dive into it, but thankfully I was able to turn it around and did 2 bike rides across Canada, producing and directing a documentary on the opioid crisis across Canada, going town to town, coast to coast, exploring what was going on in everybody's communities. And then that led to doing some ad hoc consulting work for the Health Minister of Canada at the time, Ron Ambrose, and led to a consulting gig for the subsequent 3 health ministers after that, which then led to starting a consulting business. So I'm currently on the United Nations Working Group on Drug Policy, where I got to represent Canada at the UN Commission on Narcotic Drugs in March. The board of directors of the Canadian Centre on Substance Use and Addiction, Policy Committee, Canadian Society of Addiction Medicine, Ontario Health Provincial Advisory Table, CAMH, all the way down to the Durham Region Opioid Task Force. That's one component. And then I'm a filmmaker as well. I'm working actually with Durham College on a docu-series called Surviving Addiction, which we're gearing up to film season 2 in January. We have an event next week at Durham here at wrapped around that, where we're having a panel discussion, a screening of an episode if you're interested in joining us. And I'm a motivational speaker, finishing up writing a book. It's taking me forever. And yeah, and I work full-time in the emergency department here in Oshawa in the crisis team, so kind of my schedule's a little full at times, but it's been kind of scatterbrained, but in a nutshell, that's about 20 years, so, but yeah, I'll leave it there.
Thanks, Chris. What a remarkable story. And that's just a glimpse into what the last 20 years have been like for your journey. So thanks for sharing that. Kyle.
Hey there, my name's Kyle Douglas. I started my journey here at Durham College in 2009 in the business stream, and then slowly transferred over to the human resource graduation diploma. So I did a 3-year here. My background is I was a professional cyclist growing up. I lived in 15 different countries racing my bike across the world. And then I got hurt, came home, wanted the best education as quick as I could, and try to lay my roots here in Durham, or in Durham region. So I obviously applied to one school, and it happened to be Durham College, and they accepted. So, and then from that, I our family started a business in 1979 here in Durham region. And my brothers and I have 2 older brothers. We successfully run a 45-year second-generation company, actually just down the street, 2K from here. And over the last little bit, from my professional career of human resources and cycling, I've kind of transferred into ways I can be involved in the community. I've seen a lot of different countries and a lot of different things, and you realize how thankful you are when you come home to such a great area like this. So I was the youngest chamber president in the 100-year history. So G.W. McLaughlin, obviously, who created General Motors of Canada, was the first president, and I got him by a few years. And then just recently, I won the G.W. McLaughlin Award for my community involvement of a lifetime of involvement in the community. And usually they give it to people when you're at the end of your career. So I don't know what they're telling me because I'm only 38. But that was my goal when I got involved and came back, was to be involved as much as I could. So I was on that board for just around 10 years, and now I'm on the alumni board here at the college. But over the last 5 years, my brothers and I have been trying to find ways to raise money for different organizations across the country, essentially. So during COVID, we rode our bikes for 8 hours in -30 weather in January to raise money for the mental health department at Lake Ridge Health. And then for 2 years in a row after that, we raised just under $100,000 by riding our bikes in -30 weather for 8 hours straight for the cancer center. And then this spring, my brothers and I rode to Montreal in 4 days to raise money for the Ronald McDonald House of Canada. So we raised just over 30,000. So, and hot off the press, I was just saying we're thinking about it, but we'll see. We have to see how training goes. But we're talking about doing running for 84 kilometers to Toronto in May and which is a double marathon to raise money for Ronald McDonald. So everything we try to do is try to give back, even with our careers and our lives and our families. Is you always try to find ways to support.
Thanks, Kyle. It's great to see how cycling has continued to be, a part of your life and now giving back in that way. And something tells me you're probably doing Movember with the mustache. Too.
Yeah. The catfish on my face is, yes, Movember. It's not the normal. It's a 30-day thing.
He's missing something though. Swimming.
Yeah, I know. I'm not a good swimmer. Not a good swimmer.
Missing everything else.
Thanks, Kyle. Let's go online and say hello to Shelby. And Shelby, would you like to answer a question about where you live and work? Because you're definitely not in the room with us.
No, and I wish I was, and I appreciate I'm coming down. I'll be in on Sunday for my first time back in Ontario in November since 2008. So I'm going to go with a lot of layers because I'm kind of used to a little bit nicer weather. But I'm Shelby Nelson. I'm from Toronto. Lived there until, like I said, 2008. Worked for the Blue Jays in Toronto, doing a multitude of different jobs before I was transferred or happily accepted to move down to Florida. From anywhere from sales, did a lot of our community outreach programs, worked with a lot of different great community groups there. Community living was actually one of my favorites through my time there. Baseball Canada, Baseball Ontario, trying to set up a lot of different charity events and also working with Special Olympics. In 2008, I got this great opportunity to move here to Dunedin, Florida, where it was brand new to me. Didn't know the area very well, and definitely our facilities were much different in 2008. Right now, I'm the VP of Florida operations for the club. So I oversee both our spring training facility, which is behind us, and 3 miles away, we have a 120,000 square foot player development complex where all of our players will be throughout spring training. And then, right now we still have, I think, 80 or so players that are around training, getting ready for next season, rehabbing, all those different things. Lots of my job is working with our community groups, our local governments. So during the election, all the big talk is obviously about the president. I was as focused, if not more focused, on our local stuff within Dunedin. We have a new mayor who I've known for a long time, new city members that are here that are very influential of who I might work with and deal with. We're very satisfied with everyone that won, all great people, but that's a part of my kind of role of working with them and helping, making sure we make our community better. Our community, I look at, is not only the city of Dunedin, which is a little bit smaller, 30,000, but we work a lot with our county here. So that would encompass all the different cities in Clearwater and Palm Harbor areas. And right now, obviously, we've had some tough times. October was a tough month for many in the area with the 2 hurricanes that went through here. Really proud of all the things that our staff here did. We've been out there picking up lots of trees, helping the city hand out food, different things that we could, while we still encompassed a lot of damage throughout our facilities. Nothing like the Rays got or some others, but there's still a lot of work that we had to do throughout it. It's been horrible. Fortunately, not a lot of our staff got hit too hard from it, but still a trying time for the area. And as one of the community partners here, working really hard to try to help the community get back and get back to some type of normal.
Thanks, Shelby. I think, I know for myself, not living there, you tend to not realize the impact those natural disasters are having on the community. So we look forward to learning more. And we also look forward to getting together with you in person on Monday for the gala event. So now I'm going to turn to my partner here, Paula Soho. And Paula, tell us where you live and work, what you do for your work, and what you like best.
Hi, my name is Paula Soho. I live in Whitby. I am a patient advocate for people with chronic illnesses and ostomies. And I'm also the co-founder of a brand called Ostomy Fashion, which basically we make fashionable and functional ostomy covers for people living with ostomies. Shout out to my brother, who's the co-founder of the brand. But
Oh,
we started it officially a year ago, and it's been amazing. Super impactful, as you can imagine, for the people living with ostomies. And yeah, we started it because I have an ostomy and I struggled a lot to accept it. But I turned to fashion to cope with it. And I did exactly that. It changed my perspective entirely. And I thought, like, this is something that other people need to know about and it can really help people. So I'd say my favorite part about the job is I wouldn't even call it a job. It's more of like a mission because it's truly just like my purpose to just help people accept their ostomies in the way that I did. My favorite part is just like hearing how we've been able to do that, and all the stories that we get to hear from people in the community has been truly special.
Thanks, Paula. What an inspiring story you have to share. Um, let's start with our first question, which makes sense, doesn't it?
That's great.
The first question is, how has giving back shaped your career or personal journey since graduating? And Chris, I'd like to start with you. To me, you're like the prime example of how no career path is a straight line. To be a graduate in 2007 from the heating, ventilation, air conditioning technician program to now being, an international advocate for mental health and addiction. Tell us about how giving back has shaped your career.
I just want to add one thing, just technically, for the students, my students and others, just start thinking of questions. And if you have any questions, note them down. There's going to be a lot of time to interact, but we want to just make sure that you have a chance to speak with Sally for a little bit first, okay? So be lots of time. Please go ahead.
So my kind of pathway, because my personal life and my work are so intertwined, I didn't even consider what I'd do a career up until somebody pointed out to me like 2 years ago, like, you've had a hell of a career. And really what it stems from as far as the giving back is that those years of my life where I went 2 years without gas, heat, hot water, stealing food to eat, and then knowing what it's like being treated when you're down and out, and then feeling like you're written off by friends, family, everybody who really knows you. That had such a profound effect on how and what shaped me during throughout the entirety of my 20s was gone. And what kind of the foundation of everything I've done to this point was I just don't want anyone else going through what I did. It's the foundation of my work in the emergency department with dealing with either our community's most vulnerable or whatever situation that brought them there because they don't know what else to do. And when I can articulate to them what they're going through better than they can articulate to me, particularly in with the system and as the shape it's in, people often feel like they're a number, and that to patient care point, when you feel like you're a number, like that your confidence in the care you're receiving is going to be very, very low. So sorry, I'm just kind of going on here, but that's just being an example of just I just don't. I've been through that whole system myself. I know what it's like being in that department and just feeling like minutes are like hours, and it's just if the bottom line is that you can't go to school for some of the things I've learned. And I understood kind of when I was coming out of it all that I had a unique knowledge base that you can't go to school for, that I could use to help people. And I only saw the opioid crisis getting worse and worse, and it having such a profound effect on my life. It became the entire meaning of it all to me. I came across a book when I was coming out of it that changed my life. It's called Man's Search for Meaning by a psychiatrist named Viktor Frankl, and he was put into the concentration camps during World War II, and he was a psychiatrist, but he used his time in there as a case study in human behavior. And then he found that a lot of the people who had made it through were the people who had some degree of responsibility they felt after the fact, or somebody they needed to see, whether it was a loved one or whatever, that got them to pull through. And then when I found what that meaning was for me within the importance of giving back within my own personal journey, that became the meaning that actually pulled me out of that situation I was in. So.
Really
I just wanted to say, I hope, just one thing, with Dr. Pop here, I'm writing down, you can't go to school for some of the things I've learned. We are in a school. Elaine, is it okay if I write that? I think we all understand. But no. There's real wisdom and insight that all of you are going to give on so many levels, and I want to make sure it gets down the way. Okay, good. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead, guys.
It reminds me of the School of Hard Knocks that we talk about, that life has so many lessons. We're all lifelong learners, but it's what you what you do with those lessons and how it shapes your life and others. Thanks for that, Chris. Kyle, you're next. And I would say, before you say, you and your family are no strangers to philanthropy. Each one of you have been giving back to the community in so many ways for so many years. And to get the Lifetime Achievement Award for McLaughlin is really remarkable, knowing how early you really are in your career. So we're excited to see what you continue to do. But please tell us how giving back has shaped your career and personal journey.
Yeah, like I think personally, it's been there always. Like growing up, I saw the people around me always being involved. My mom, my dad, my brothers, even if it was at sport or community. We grew up in a small town. Like it's big now. We're bigger now, Brooklyn, and it was small when we were younger. And we just always saw the Brooklyn Spring Fair being involved and things like that. And so those are layers that you kind of add to your book as you're going through life. And it's important that you bank those types of layers and then use them for good. I believe that the social responsibility, like we all have a social responsibility in this room, and you can see it with everyone in this room on their journeys. And for me, that's where it's just motivated me, even if it's the smallest thing, to a really bad mustache, to raising money for really good things at the hospital or for charities within your community. A big touch point for me with it is there's services and stuff you need all around you, and there's a lot of not-for-profits and community groups that get no support or don't have the proper layers to give support to the community. So when we see that as a family, or my brothers and I, or myself, and my wife and I, like we do it because then there might be a chance that we need to use that service. So we saw it with our bike ride. We saw staff struggling during COVID, with mental health and things like that. So we used what we were good at, riding bikes, and we raised money to try to give a little bit back to the community with what we're good at. And I think that's where giving back is important, because no matter how big it is, it still is a silo that will most likely help someone down the road. If it's a penny, if it's a dollar, if it's an hour, that can go a long way, and it goes a long way. We supported the cancer center at Lake Ridge Health, and we started supporting it because we had people in our family that were fighting cancer, and we wanted to make sure that we had the best treatment centers in our backyard. Because sometimes the hardest thing is traveling to get it, or getting the best resources for what you're dealing with. So that's why we do it at the end of the day. The reward for us is just knowing that there's going to be something else that we can do, and that's what we really focus on.
Identified a couple of things there, Kyle. Identifying the gaps in a system and then doing what you can with your skill set to try to address them. And the other thing that I think that's an important takeaway is that it doesn't matter how much, because everything makes a difference, especially when it's a collective. So some very good points there. Paula, I'm going to go to you next. And I was thinking, in the last 5 or 6 years ago, you probably never envisioned yourself being a member of the chronic illness community. But wow, how you have turned a negative into a positive is so inspiring. So tell us about your journey.
So I actually was a student in 2020 here at the college at the video production program, but because of my health and just the way that things went, I had to drop out of that program. And back then I had the mindset of that's the path, that's the way that I'm taking, and that's the way that I'm going. That was narrow vision, that's where I was going. But unfortunately that's not how things went. And I found myself in a position of just having so much time on my hands while in the midst of dealing with a diagnosis and a new ostomy and stuff like that. So I turned to social media to cope, and I started sharing about my journey with other people, and I found other people going through the exact same things. And yeah, I realized, wow, this is maybe my purpose. Maybe this is where I should be going. So I kind of ran with that, and I started sharing every part of my journey with people. I connected with so many individuals along the way. I discovered that was my new motivation. That's what was keeping me going. And not just that, but I discovered that I really like to sew, that I didn't know that I did before. So I discovered really cool talents that I didn't know that I had. And I discovered that this was my new purpose in life and that I really wanted to pursue that. So if I hadn't gotten diagnosed and, all of that happened to me years ago, I would have never been sitting here today having this discussion with you all. And I did go back to school. I'm in photography now. But I would have never been in the position where I am today, where I have my own brand and I work so heavily in the chronic illness community. So it led me down pathways that I didn't know existed. And yeah, I just discovered so much about myself, so many possibilities that I didn't know that I had. And I discovered to just go with the flow because truly, like, life is never, ever, ever goes to plan. And I had to learn that at a young age. But yeah, I'm grateful for it, for sure.
And I think you've been able to use your program, video production, in your business, right? So, which is good. And tell us, how many followers do you have? I think do you have like 1,000 on
Yeah.
TikTok?
It's like 325,000. So yeah, I definitely reach a large community, and those are my followers, but my videos get a lot of views as well, which is really cool just for exposure. And I love the educational aspect as well, because a lot of people don't know what it's like to live with a chronic illness or what an ostomy even is. And a lot of people see me all dressed and looking amazing, but yeah, there's a lot of truth behind the fashion about what really goes on with somebody with chronic illnesses. So yeah, I think it's a really impactful thing that I'm doing, and that I'm educating so many people along the journey.
Thank you. Shelby, down in Florida.
Yeah.
You are living the dream of, a sport that you have loved all your life, I think. When you were here at Durham College, you played high level baseball, and I think always wanted to be associated with the Toronto Blue Jays, and you've just worked your way right up to the top. So tell us about your personal journey and career path and how it's, impacted your giving back.
Well, like you said, I've been very fortunate from the standpoint of getting to work and um, work for a team that I've loved, and work for a sport that I've had a lot of passion for. It's actually been a part of my family. Even for my grandfather, that was in a similar role for the Toronto Maple Leaf Baseball Club when they were in the intercounty in the AAA before the Blue Jays existed. So it's always been a part of kind of who I am. And for me, I have a much different journey and path than those that have already presented. I'm going to talk about kind of more of my time here in Dunedin, Florida, when I moved here, but definitely giving back has had a huge impact. I think about the impact from what my role is in our smaller community here, where we can give back in unique ways, from financial to volunteering to just promoting different businesses, different charities, different areas that we can really make an impact on. One thing that I focused in on when I moved here was realizing that giving back wasn't just wasn't just providing for others, but was providing for me. I was getting to learn a lot of different things, and I was getting to learn the community. I was getting to learn people. I was getting to learn about myself a little bit more. I have 3 kids, so they keep me nice and busy. So time is always is a struggle, especially within the baseball industry, where it never ends. We always have, we're working 364 days a year. But what I ended up doing was I joined the chambers around me. So the city of Dunedin, I became a board member, and I joined some local ones, Palm Harbor, Safety Harbor, some other ones. I did Rotary clubs, got involved with different mixers, downtown merchants associations, and then joined a bunch of boards to get to really know and see how we can impact them and how we can do, how we can help them. And at the same time, obviously helping out the Blue Jays, helping out me and understanding the community and how it really affected my journey and really the club. When I started doing stuff with the chamber and getting in with the small businesses in our local community, and helping out those small business owners to make sure that we could bring more people into the downtown and more people into different areas to help drive their business and to help them, which is really in Dunedin. You don't find Starbucks. You got the small businesses that are here and small owners, so you get to meet them. And I definitely got to create a lot of strong relationships. And then later on, as we were trying to do our job, which was building a brand new player development complex, $100 million project here, we had to start lobbying and working with our local, our county, and our state representatives to help finance it. And through all that work over the years, that was not really what I was intended, but to creating those relationships and showing what we were able to do in the community. All of a sudden, when we started going and having meetings with community members and county members and others, the support that we got locally, which we didn't get before I arrived, was so impactful. It actually meant so much to me to see all those people that we were just trying to help or create relationships were there helping us and backing us, from state representatives and state meetings to county meetings. So how it affected me of giving back was actually helping create my job of the job that I have today, and the impact that those things help with Blue Jays and helped us hopefully build the best player development complex in baseball.
Thanks, Shelby. I think even though our topic today is giving back, we started this series
Yes.
with the focus of global graduate.
That's right.
So I'd just like to touch on that. Shelby, you would be what we consider a global graduate. You've moved outside of Durham region. In fact, you moved to another country, a state, and had to get to know that community and country. And so I'm sure that's been an interesting experience along the way. And I would just encourage all of our students who are either here or online to look at those opportunities, to go where the opportunities are, even if it means out of your comfort zone. And the best way you get involved in that new community is giving back. So I'm coming back to the topic.
It gives so much to the individual too, as Shelby said. So it's that two-way street, goes back and forth.
Shelby, I'd like to stay with you. Our next
Mhm.
question is about the fact that giving back isn't always financial. We certainly, in our department, would never turn a donation down, we always say.
Sure. Yeah.
But it isn't always financial. There's so many different ways that people can give back, whether it's mentoring, volunteering, sharing knowledge. What have you found to be most impactful?
Well, I'm going to use the baseball side again because I'm at a baseball field quite a lot. So what I was able to do is I coach a lot. I coach baseball, softball, soccer, and I've even done football. So getting in and then allowing those to utilize our facilities and impact them and creating a difference for them is one of the areas that's definitely helped me the most. There was a day that I had, we've all dealt with some, as we volunteer, and we've all dealt with some parents that maybe weren't as nice as you might like. And I remember telling my wife, maybe I don't want to coach anymore. Maybe it's time to kind of move on. And then, I was somewhere, I forget where it was, and all of a sudden somebody from behind gave me a big hug. And I look back, and it was some kid I coached 2 years ago. And that really changed the thoughts for me of, okay, well, now I'm going to continue doing this, because that was really impactful to see that I made a difference. And I've been getting it recently. We had some people switch baseball teams, and I've been getting from the parents, like, those type of things, not only be helping, but be able to bring in the Blue Jays and be able to do some stuff in the community and help out those entire organizations has been really impactful. Also, with regards to, locally, we try really hard within the Blue Jays, and, every charity is a very valuable charity, but how can we make the biggest impact? And those are the ones that we're trying to really help. So, as I mentioned earlier, with the hurricanes, those are things that we want to make sure that we can help locally, our local residents that have had some hardships, and how can we go ahead and help them? And so that's kind of where my focus has been at this stage. Obviously, as my kids get older, I'm sure I'll continue to evolve that. But as I also get older, realize how important it really is.
You're so right. Thanks, Shelby. I feel like I'm spinning a wheel, and who am I landing on next? I'm landing on you, Paula. So Paula, tell us what has been most impactful for you. You were early in your career and just starting out. But.
I'd say that the most impactful parts of my journey have been the ones where I get to actually connect with other people going through the same things as me. And on the topic of just volunteering and doing things for the opposite of financial reasons, I'd say that those are the most valuable moments for me. I started by sharing my journey online and on TikTok, and I would consider that like me donating my time, my energy. That's information that I could have withheld and just kept to myself, but I decided to share it just in hopes that I would help other people. So I started small in that way, just putting up my phone and sharing videos in that way. And then I turned to local charities like Crohn's and Colitis Canada, Ostomy Canada, and I started volunteering with them. And I've done summers where I'm a mentor for little kids with ostomies or with Crohn's and colitis. Those moments have been truly special for me. And even with Ostomy Fashion, we have a mission to donate one cover for every 3 that we sell. So Daniel and I, we try our best to go and actually hand deliver these covers in person to patients that are freshly out of surgery in hospital. And those are moments that I truly just keep so close to my heart because it grounds me and it reminds me of the mission and like who I am and what I want my brand to be. I'd say that the financial aspect is truly just the cherry on top, but even if I wasn't being paid, I would still do what I do because it just gives me purpose and keeps me going. So, yeah.
Thank you. You don't realize just the impact you're having until you see those personal situations. Chris, and then, oh, excuse me, Kyle, then Chris. Got to go in my order.
Yeah, like I think for me there's like multiple silos with it. Work for me has had the donation of time with the Chamber of Commerce and things like that because those relationships for me have turned into business relationships. So everyone I do business with, from our IT provider to our insurance companies and things like that, I've met through volunteering. So there has been a direct like result in business. And then I have my family and the silo of volunteering with my wife and my kids and coaching. And that is new. I have a young family, but it's been very rewarding and very tough because the other silo you're dealing with adults, and then the other one you're dealing with children and children's parents. And so you learn a lot, and you learn a lot about yourself. And then the third silo for me has been just what makes me tick, like what makes me wake up in the morning to do things, and those are the charities, and those are the time that there isn't any financial side. It's that human capital side that you go to bed and you wake up knowing that even from the smallest thing that you've done something good with your time. And then my background with HR has been human resources. People joke around it's the empty box people, or the you put your box on the table and you're fired kind of thing. But HR to me is that human performance, that human development, and that is from my sport background. So I try to apply that to what I do with my time. If it's coaching kids sports, or the community involvement on the business side, or the personal side. So it's tough, but to balance all of them, but they all have some sort of percentage. And I believe not in large gains. I believe in small gains. So if you can gain 1% from one thing, those 1% add up, and those 1% will eventually fill your bucket. So that's how I operate.
Sorry, I just want to clarify a point here. To the point of what I meant when I you can't go to school for what I meant is that it's the experiences that shape you, and those experiences, like yourself, Paul, it's just life throws those things at you. I didn't choose that path; it chose me, and living that is what formed me and shaped me into where my education probably did the most for me. It saved my life. I went 2 years without heat or hot water, and I learned everything about heat loss imaginable in HVAC. And what that did was that kept me warm. That also gave me an understanding of what goes on in the trades, which is disproportionately impacted by substance use. And what that did was give me an idea of the challenges that a student at Durham or otherwise is going through, or potentially going through at home with their mental health or addiction. So I got everything I imaginable out of my education, and thankfully was able to use it to kind of keep me alive. But to the question of mentoring and volunteering, and I mean, I've been very, very lucky and privileged to have a lot of amazing people. I come across a lot of amazing people in my career who invested the time in me to show me the ropes of a world that I had no idea about, particularly on the policy side of the house, and it was just coming from a point where you're at the methadone clinic, and then next thing you know, you're in a boardroom. It's a very far cry, but I'm of the opinion that it's about paying it forward. I think we all have a moral obligation and social responsibility to pass down those lessons and give others the opportunity that were given to us. And it's just on the financial side, like I mean, I sold my place to do my ride in my film. It wasn't. I thought it was just all about what can I do in this, because it touched me so deeply that that the finance wasn't even a thought. And like actually for the first couple years of what I was doing, it was much of it was just volunteer and getting my foot in the door. And thankfully things kind of panned out after the fact. But it was I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's all about, I just want the world to be a little bit of a better place for my being a part of it. And I think we all kind of have that in common. We all want to be part of something that's bigger than ourselves. And I think giving back is not only advantageous to doing that and making sure that the world is a better place for you being a part of it, but it allows you to build important relationships that help develop that individual along the way when you have the opportunity, when they reach out. So
I think never underestimate the grassroots community too, right? You know, sometimes you just have to start somewhere with what you know and can do, and momentum will build.
Sally, could I just stop for a second? Would it be possible to just take a moment to let the students come in? And are you good with that? Yeah, because
Exactly what I was going to do.
yeah, well,
Well, we work together.
there's a bit of a, Sally would understand. She knows hockey well, and so you know, you get on the ice. Now we got to skate over here, okay, to this side for a little bit.
Handle
But
now.
we'll come back. We're gonna stick handle, okay. So for the students here in person or anybody else, please feel free to ask for a microphone. I can bring it to you and we can start with any questions, anything you'd like to say. You don't have to. Okay, there's a lot of great conversation already and some good takeaway too. As well online, if there's anything anyone would like to add, jump on your microphone, or I can also ask one of you to contribute. But let's see, is there anything, Vicky, you want to start? Okay. No, this is great because yeah, she uses, and also there are certain default students. She's default, but she also understands a lot about leadership and how she has transformed
Yes.
herself into an emerging leader. And I would say there's one thing that seems to be an undercurrent in all of this, which is a great thing about leadership. And I can't remember who said this, but I'm sure you've heard it, which is never let a good crisis go to waste. Which is, I'm not sure who said this. It's been attributed to many presidents, prime ministers, CEOs. So I'm not going to, identify. However, I think we're seeing on display here some amazing examples, real life examples, experientially, of that the real leaders, they know how to transform stuff into something that's going to make a difference. So we're seeing this beautifully. Vicky, go ahead.
I do have a question, but I will give you guys a little bit of information about me, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
I was actually illiterate 7 years ago. I could not read. I could not count. Nothing. Now, here I am. But I also was advocating to the former Minister of Education to make a difference in the education system. And I convinced him to let 3 schools that taught me how to, one of the 3 schools that taught me how to read, to return back for a following year, yet the school is a 1-year program. So everybody in the schools and the new students that came to the school got second year and stuff, which was fantastic. And I've had meetings, multiple meetings with him, and then I've been in contact with the Right to Read, Human Rights Commission, all that kind of thing. So that's just a little bit of who
I should
am.
probably say too, just because Vicky may not
Yes.
say so, that the Minister of Education stood up in the Ontario legislature.
Oh yes, yes, yes.
Personally
Thanked
her by name
by
for the work.
the advocating I've done.
So,
Yes.
this is real. Go, Vicky, go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry. So I have a question. What type of disease do you have? Because my mom has autoimmune disorder as well. So I'm just wondering. I can't remember your names.
Yeah, that's okay.
Paula,
No,
Paula, yeah, Paula.
I have Crohn's disease.
Okay.
I also have endometriosis, and I also have POTS.
Wow.
So yeah, the trifecta. But yeah, autoimmune disease, it falls under that same kind of umbrella, and that's amazing what you've done.
My mom
Yeah.
has rheumatoid arthritis.
Okay, so yeah, it's an inflammatory disease as well. So
Eating her bones.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
She's had
fun.
2 total knee replacements and a shoulder replacement
Oh my gosh.
under the age of 50.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a lot.
I know.
Yeah, that's a lot. But just going off of what
It's
you were
tough.
saying, yeah, she is tough. We all are.
Yeah.
Going off of what you were saying too, that's amazing. Like, if I can give a piece of advice to absolutely anybody, it's advocate. If you have a cause that you care about, raise your voice. Like, no
Yes.
voice is too quiet. They are all heard. So what you've done clearly made an incredible impact.
I'm not done yet.
Yeah, good for you, girl. Yeah, just keep doing that because, yeah, it's very important. We need people in every field,
Yes.
every topic to just
Of
keep
course.
talking. Yeah, it's amazing. Thank you for your question, though.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to follow up with, or
Currently, no, but
we'll
whoever
move it
else
around.
wants to take the mic, I mean,
Yeah.
by all means.
And it's remember, we're in a class that we hold every Wednesday. This is a special one called Global Leader. So the idea of leadership and how you go about it in a world that is extremely complex and stressful and unpredictable and tumultuous and how you navigate that successfully is really important, and put yourself in a position of leadership. So there are tips and insights, and there's so much that we could bring from all of you to put there that I have to ask, but I'm going to let everyone else speak as much as they can. So is there anyone else here who would like to contribute at this point before we check in what's called the cosmos, which is our planets out there? They're in our cosmos, and see who's there. You're absolutely welcome to do this. This is very good experiential learning from people who really have been there, understand it. Yeah, come on, please, come on up, okay? And come right in here. So would you be able to come and stand here so you can be, because here's a leader from the college. So Tony, yeah, turn it on. Yeah, it's on. Yeah, okay, yeah, good. So
first of all, thank you all. It's amazing. I sit here and I wonder I'm not accomplishing anything in my life when I see all of you. So
not true.
I don't know who. I'll put this out to anybody. You're also inspiring, but one of the things you talked about in terms of giving back and being involved and engaged, you gain different skills that help you with your careers as well. So if I could ask, you students who are listening, so when you give back, when you're volunteering, when you're doing these things, what is one skill that you've really picked up that you were able to apply into your professionals, taking that personal giving, and what were you able to take and put into your giving as well? So what one skill did you're able to apply into your professional lives?
For me, I think I was my sport was super selfish. I talked about this earlier.
Oh, somebody's mic is on.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah, you're good. Okay.
This cycling is an individual sport, and you're out on your bike for hours and hours, and you know that you rode across country twice, and you have a lot of time to self-reflect, but you're selfish. Your sport is you go out and try to perform. If you lose, you lose. If you win, you win. And as I grew in my career and in my personal life, there's a lot of team around you, no matter how much you don't see it sometimes. Like your team is your tribe, and the tribe doesn't have to be huge. It can be one or two or three. And so I learned that as I've gone through my like career and my giving back and anything we do. The bike ride with my brothers and I were three of us, but that was our tribe for the three. When we rode to Montreal, there was five of us, and then there was a whole bunch of background support. And you spoke about your ride, like you had two people supporting you, but that was your unit, that was your tribe, and that's got you through it. And I, like hearing everyone speak, it seems like they all have that. You have your brother, like that's what I've learned through my journey. Is I was very selfish in the early 2000s. I was just riding my bike and trying to win, and didn't care what got in my way. And then now I care about everything that's in my way. And that's what I learned through my journey.
I would say the one skill set that I've built upon and learned, because when I started out, I didn't even know how I was going to get these interviews I was going to do across Canada. I was just like, okay. So I had to learn how to network very, very well. And the thing that I've learned to this day, it's the number one thing I tell people is learn how to build relationships. Everything is about building relationships, whether it's your personal life or your professional life. It's all about being able, like, and even in the importance of giving back is that you build those relationships by passing those things down, and that's just one component of it, and then you make somebody feel like they're bigger than something themselves. But the building relationships is what's allowed me to be able to cross political lines, particularly in my field where I'm at the table working on contentious issues, we'll say. And but I get, like, my thing is, like, I get along with everybody. I don't care what you're, like, I need to know how you got to your thinking, so I can figure out and listen to you, so that you can listen, that you're in a position to listen to me. If you want respect, you got to give respect. If you want to listen, you got to listen. So building those relationships. I mean, I had the most backward conversation with the deputy prime minister of Malaysia at the UN, and it just completely antithetical as far as how we looked at the views in the world. But I took the time to listen to him, and which allowed him to take the time to listen to me. And by the end of it, we were laughing and joking about it. And then same thing, I had the dinner with the chief of counter narcotics for the U.S. State Department, a U.S. Army Major General in the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, head of programs for organized crime and counterterrorism. And then there's me. Like, but part of my role there was, like, was relationship building, and so I met with, of the 67 member states that were there, I met with 32 delegations. That's crossing all, like, everything under the sun, but it all came down to that capacity to build those relationships, and that's been the biggest factor for sure in getting to where I am today.
We have a question from one of our students, Global Leader students. Peta, are you able to jump on your microphone?
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead. Great.
So my question
Go ahead.
to all of you guys is this: what was that light bulb moment like that brought it from an idea that you were toying with to actually putting it into action? Like, what was that, and how do you always find the strength to keep going, because I know that things will arise that will sometimes be disappointing and setbacks. What is that thing that keeps you going, and what made you decide to, we have to do this?
Great. We'll start with Paula and we'll go around. Okay. Yeah, go
I
ahead.
know it's on. Okay.
Yep.
I know that light bulb moment. I think of it every single day. It was when I was in my hospital bed, and I was so tired of hiding my ostomy, and I just was talking to my mom, and I was like, I'm just gonna exhaust myself. Sorry, and she said to me, she was like, "Well, you have two options. You can either you can either hide it, but you'll exhaust yourself, or you can either accept it and you'll set yourself free." And that was literally ding, like, light bulb moment immediately. And I said, you know what, mom, like, you're so right. I don't care if people judge me. This ostomy has given me my life back. It's given me an opportunity to live again. Like, I'm going to live loud and proud about it. And I don't care what other people think. So I think it was that same day that I picked up my phone and I made the first TikTok ever. And then a comment rolled in and was like, is that an ostomy bag? I have one too. And I clicked on the profile and it was a girl my age. And I was like, wait, I'm not the only 18-year-old girl going through this. So yeah, that was like the beginning of it for me. And from there on, like, I just remember the importance of those words from my mom, and I use them in everything that I do every single day. Every time that I pick up my phone and I want to share something, I'm like, this is what I'm doing it for. Yeah, so that's a great question. I think about that a lot. Thank you.
Paula, what would you put, just in terms of real takeaway in a few words, the light bulb moment? Because this is really critical stuff. Students will be doing assignments on this. So what would you right here? Light bulb moment, Paula.
Shout out to my mom. I love my mom. She's the best. I don't know.
Just briefly, the hospital bed, mother.
I would say live unapologetically and always lead with authenticity. Like, that's number one. I think as long as you have your core values in place, and you understand, like, what you want your brand to be, talking about brand, like just who you are as a person, how you show up, I think as long as you lead with those, that's what keeps you going.
Got it. Thanks. Okay, we'll go around to next. Do you want to get the microphone, Maureen? Take it to Kyle. You've got? Yeah, good.
Light bulb moment. It's for me. I think I've had like multiple light bulb moments, so it's like kind of more of a nuclear power plant. I just have had different chapters, and I think that's the light bulb moment. Is you can open a new chapter and close a chapter, and it doesn't need to be a positive or a negative on that. You can use it. So I had, my professional cycling career, I have my professional development and business career, I have my personal life and everything. So I think for me, it's more just the opening and closing of chapters, and there's no negative or positive to it. It just kind of keeps you on your pathway. There was a really good. I went to a conference years ago with a gentleman talking, like drawing a line on one end and then drawing kind of his line across, and then death being the end line, and you create that pathway between it, and regardless of the length of it, just try to get everything out of that line, regardless of what you're going
So would
through.
you say there's not really a light bulb moment? It's more of a series of lights turning on along a long road or
Yeah,
something?
it's essentially a road with light posts on it for
Yeah.
me. Like, to be honest, like I've always, I'm very competitive, highly competitive. And so I always am looking for the next challenge. So for me, that's like there's challenges, and some stuff is behind me, and like, yeah, I don't race professionally anymore, but I ride my bike every day. So cycling is still there, but the competitive side is gone. So I coach lacrosse, and I love it with my kids, and so there's just, yeah, it's a road with a bunch of lampposts on it.
Okay. Great. And we'll come to Shelby. Shelby, get ready too, from Florida as well. So, Chris?
So yeah, I'm kind of same. A lot of light bulb moments along the way that kind of brought me along. But first one was well, sorry, it wasn't the first one, but one of the most memorable was I was working as a cashier at Walmart there in Bowmanville, and this is what when people ask me what was the point that turned it around. It's a long story, but the guy frisbeed the sign in my face over arguing with me over 50 cents on 3 apples and cut my nose open, bleeding everywhere, and I completely lost it. And ended up quitting my job that day. And I remember going home, just being like, what am I gonna do? I'm stealing my food to eat. I don't have heater hot water. Like, I'm heating water on a stove to clean myself. Like, it was just rough shape. And I was just tired of staring at a clock all day, wishing I was doing anything but what I was doing. And that's kind of where it started. And then when I ended up breaking out and I actually still have the book, and started I jotted down these 4 boxes. I don't know why I did it, but I did it. These 4 boxes: my passions, interests, hobbies, and stuff I knew I hated, to figure out what that might be, what my path would be. I'd always had an interest in film, so I had no experience in it, but I was an athlete before I fell into opioids, and then there was this thing that just had this that encompassed my entire life that was so impactful to me. That so hence the, like, what does opioid addiction, cycling, and filmmaking have in common? Absolutely nothing. But that's how it all came through. Is I just used my interests that gravitated to me, and then kind of on the bus rides home from Oshawa to Bowmanville on the GO bus from the methadone clinic, I found myself the only time I would be happy was when I was thinking about what that would look like, and like the only time that was like that became my escape because I wasn't using any drugs anymore. And then it finally just one day clicked and was just like, I wonder what it would take to do that. And then that was the light bulb moment. Be like, let's explore this. It's the same way with my series. I had that idea. I was just laying on the couch one day watching YouTube, and I'm like, yeah, that'd be a good idea. I wonder what it'd take to do that. And now here we are, about to film season 2 in January. So yeah, a lot of light bulb moments along the way.
Yeah,
and,
sure.
but it's generally speaking on a, I wonder what it would take to do that, and then exploring that thought process.
That's great. And let's get Shelby. Would you be able to come in and perhaps I know that your sort of narrative and story is different, but it's still the same in terms of that all 4 of you are leaders in your own way, and you've all transformed experiences to become leaders who really do a lot for their communities, who put, perhaps, I may be wrong, but put social innovation and social good ahead of
Yeah.
financial gain. Although no one would discount the importance of money, but in the end, what really matters is something a little bit greater than that. Shelby, has there been any moment in your life where something occurred to you, something happened when you realize you can make a difference. You can do more. You can really go beyond what you have done and actually have a real impact on your community?
I think it's about, something in Florida here. We have Great American Teaching, which has people like myself go to different schools all on one day. So we got a lot of people involved, and I know one of the things that I talked a lot about, it's the word passion. So finding your passion. So for me, it was doing a bunch of things when I started with the Blue Jays. And working with a lot of charity groups and community groups and kids groups, and realizing that that's the stuff that made me happy. Those were the things that drove my career, especially early on. Was I did a lot of group sales, and it was really people didn't know I was in sales. It was they thought I was marketing, or they thought I was in community, but I was trying to give back, and those were the different ways for me to do it. And that's where when I talk to kids about what their career could be, it's always about passion. So, I see the same thing. My light bulb is always what actually excites me. Because when I was starting in school, I was even at Durham College, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I knew it had something along to do with sports, but I just took another program after I finished York University, and try to continue to learn, and try to find something that actually, meant something for me. And that was my light bulb of like, okay, this is what I'm passionate about. One of my last projects that I did at Durham College was how to increase attendance at the Rogers Center, or I guess at that time it was the Sky Dome. And lo and behold, that's what I ended up doing later on. I utilized some of those things to help my career. So I think for me, it's just finding your passion, finding something that you get excited about waking up every day. And everyone has different passions, and that's the important part, is that everyone, there's different things that excites us all, and understanding that that's the case, but trying to drive your decisions and things that you want to do, because you're going to have a lot more passion towards doing those things, and really enjoy waking up. I love coming to work every day, and I love doing all the different community stuff that I do, and the stuff that doesn't make me feel comfortable, or stuff that just isn't true to my values or my core or just me as a person. Those are things that I definitely would struggle with.
And in a way, you would come to work even if you weren't being paid, right?
Yeah, I'm here a lot, and some of it just for fun, and sometimes I make a bad joke, which is it's easier than parenting at times.
Great. Well, let me thank you. I just want to make sure we're on track. We have 10 minutes to go before the networking at 11:45 begins. We had planned that we were going to do some time around now for take up, but we've been kind of incorporating it into the notes throughout, so we have more time. So Sally, is there something you would like to say? And also I'd like to say to our President Elaine, is there anything you want to add in the discussion? You've stayed with us, which is great. I wasn't sure you'd be able to. So, please.
Maybe just a question that I might pose to any of the panelists who could provide advice to the students in the classes. How could they get started in giving back? Like, what could be a first step for one of our students?
Our advice. Okay, let's go. So how to get started for the students. Let's get a slide going there. Go ahead.
I would say get started like in the smallest way possible that you can think of. If you're a student, especially, time is, kind of difficult for you to manage because you have a lot going on. So don't feel the responsibility or the necessity to get involved by going to charity events like every single week or volunteering 3 hours of your time every month. It can literally just be once a year kind of thing. Like I know for me, the Crohn's and Colitis, they hold a charity walk just yearly. It's about 2 hours, 5K. That is enough for me. Well, not now, but before, initially, when I started volunteering, that was enough for me to be like, okay, I made my contribution. This feels really good. It's rewarding. I'm helping the community in the capacity that is meaningful for me. So yeah, I would say get started small. Even look into your school. There's a lot of volunteer opportunities in your school. Any cause that you're like, I care about this, just search it up on Google, find things around your area, ways that you can get involved. Yeah, any contribution is really big in my opinion. It doesn't have to be anything grand. Just, yeah, it can be anything.
Great, let's go around, okay? Because this is also, ultimately, this speaks to the students in the end. This is all about takeaway for the students. So this is critical. Small is beautiful, as somebody has said a million times. Okay, so go ahead, Kyle or Chris? Chris, go ahead.
I would actually echo Paula's point. It's my life experience has been it's the little things that add up to a lot, and it's a bunch of little things that you do that then kind of creates something big, and then that big thing kind of morphs into its own thing. But as far as getting started, it's just I mean, when I speak at high schools, it's if you're passionate about it, just kind of as if you're passionate about what you're doing, I mean, it's like akin to like playing hockey. You shoot the puck at the net, and you don't think about stopping, like not shooting it again because the goalie saved it. You just keep doing it because you enjoy what you're doing. If you can apply that to basketball, to soccer, to video games. If you die in a level, you're not going to stop playing because you're enjoying what you're doing. But when you're starting out, I mean, it's like when you pick up that controller for the first time and you start playing. I mean, you don't really know what you're doing. You're just starting out, but you're just exploring it. So having the idea and clarity of kind of at least the field that you want to kind of pursue, and then figuring out, yeah, even to Paul's point about finding, okay, what is going on? What is the lay of the land of this community I want to kind of grow into? And then figuring out where the alignment is between where you want to go with what you're doing and what exists out there in the first place. And then start on those little tiny goals and just kind of keep compiling them until it turns into something bigger.
Show up, no matter what you're doing. If you want to do great at school, you show up, you participate. If you want to be great at anything, it does take time. So, like, you know, again, doesn't matter the duration or the time or the measurement stick. And I'll give my wife credit for this one is, you know, don't compare yourselves to people around your room. Essentially, compete with yourself. So compete with yourself on whatever you're going to do to be the best you, the best version of you the next day or the next hour or the next minute. Because then that will translate to you know, friendships, business relationships, networking, everything you want and what you're trying to get out of you know, this room, the global classroom. And then the last thing, honestly, if you don't know and you honestly don't know, this is gonna be a plug for the alumni. The alumni is connected to everybody in the community, every business, every graduate, and if you're looking for any avenue, then you got to connect with the alumni because the alumni will help you if you need that guiding light to get involved with something.
It's great. Let's go to Shelby and, you know, the one, how to get started.
I would say, first off, focus on, you know, for me, the toughest part was I'm an introvert. Don't like, you know, those social gatherings and stuff, but had to realize really early, if you want to get in the community, you got to get yourself in a little bit of uncomfortable situations where you have to be a little bit more open. It was mentioned earlier about building relationships. I think the biggest thing going to these things always taught me was I learned how to talk to people. So I think everybody there will, you know, any type of community group that you go to or charity, they're looking for more people to be there. So find something that you care about. I think that's the easiest thing. And just jump in. I mean, Google has a lot of different answers out there that you can go find locally, something that's easy to get to, something that works for the days that you have available, and then jump right in because you'll be surprised how open everybody is. And really, you build so many relationships just going to those things and meeting people, and you'll start to really want to continue to do those or find additional things to get yourself involved with.
This is great. Well, in 5 minutes, the students here will have a chance to talk one-on-one or anybody else who's joined the class. Everybody in this room right now are students, they're classmates. We're all classmates. I wanted to just mention one thing to the students and others who may not know. Tony Doyle, who came up to speak, is a leader here at Durham and at college. You know, he's in a senior position as a dean, one of the schools. And you know, as you've probably seen with Elaine and Don Levisa, who have here, these are all people who like to keep learning. And this is one of the critical things about leadership that maybe, you know, you might have seen just with Tony is Tony came up and asked a question that he was genuinely interested in. He's thinking as well about his others and his department, but at the same time, leadership is about lifelong learning. And I know, Chris, that you had mentioned, you know, that about education and that, you know, in the end, what happens in an institution is about just kind of firing up that need to to always want to learn, so you can keep learning outside. So a lot of learning doesn't happen here, as you know. It happens out in the real world, but it's here that we can really kindle that flame and get you to the point where you want to keep learning all the time. That's the path to leadership, I think.
I mean, my thought process is I've always learned, like, I'm always just trying to do just a little bit better than I did
Yeah,
the day before. A toddler could walk into this room right now, and there's something I could learn from it.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, if you would take away anything from my experience, is every experience, every interaction is an opportunity to learn and grow. And if you take that approach, and it's just a nonstop learning curve, I mean, I mean, particularly in my case, you'd be surprised how far you can go from the point
Exactly.
to the end.
Exactly.
Chris, that
Now-
sounds like getting
Go
better
ahead.
every day behind me.
What's that, Shelby?
I said he just said what it has behind me. Get better every day.
Yeah, it's great. It's
Yeah.
great. I just want to make sure that we're on track. Is there anything we're missing here?
No,
Or
I think this has been wonderful. I think it's a nice way to end. The only thing I would like to add is back to Elaine's question. It's a good segue that if you are interested in new or ways to volunteer, on the Global Class page for this event, and it's up there.
right at the bottom, interested on the page for today, interested in giving back to your community through volunteerism. DC offers volunteer opportunities for both students and alumni, and that's on the page for this. We call it the class page, where the YouTube is available today and the background of the guests on the Rotary Global Classroom.
Yeah. So click on those links and you can learn about opportunities to volunteer in your community or as well for Durham College. So this has been wonderful.
Well, I mean, it's all less is more as you learn as you get older. It's better to end the class wanting more than going too long. So I hope that you all want to stay, but you have to go. That's where we need to be. But is there anything anyone here would like to add at this point as a final word before we go online? Yes, please. Okay, and I'll get the Go ahead, and we're just starting to conclude, but the recording will be available. Not to worry.
Well, I just have to admit that I'm biased here because Paula is my daughter, but I wanted to say thank you all for sharing your vulnerability with us. Thank you for being a leadership, for being a leader in the community. Thank you for giving back. I often say to Paula, you don't know the impact that you're having on people. And I said to you, Chris, Kyle, Shelby, and all the people out there, because that's what really means to the community, to have you share your experiences, your journeys with people. They believe it from you. They don't believe it from other people who might give you an advice.
Yeah.
When you have gone through it, they are going to believe you. And that is just building a community. So thank you, each one of you.
Thank you very much for that comment. Well, I know you're Paula's mother. You're the light bulb, right? But here's what's your first name again? Carolina. Thank you, Carolina, very much. Let's end there. Let's end on these words. I think those are very appropriate. I'd like to thank Maureen, as always, as a great coordinator, managing things. Sally for what she does and has been doing for many years now to pull this together. All the guests and students, and Elaine for staying and having the time to contribute and ask a great question. So I think we can wrap this up, and I hope that all of you have seen that in this just very brief way, we have demonstrated here something about leadership that is firsthand, real. You've heard it straight. And so this is knowledge that you can take to the bank, and it will always be there for you. So thank you all for coming, and we'll see you again. Take care. So we're going to stay live. I'm going to do a little talking from the screen, but for those of you, you can get up and interact with others. We're going to turn these microphones off. The students online as well can interact individually with the guests who can come up here around the podium. You feel free to join or speak with any of the guests one-on-one. Paula, Kyle, and Chris. And Shelby, if you can stay for another 10 minutes or so, there may be a student who wants to ask you something one-on-one. I'm going to go over there and just talk to everyone for the recording with the notes, okay? So please go ahead. I will be the only one who can be heard on the recording, okay? So not to worry. And in terms of, I just want to make sure if Shelby, because I haven't done this before with the one-on-one, they can hear me. So if a student, they will hear. Okay, so let me just we're just so you all know, everybody, while the mingling is going on here and the microphones have been turned off, we're trying something a little new with this class this year, with this event, which is for these final 10 minutes or so, up until noon, we're allowing the classmates to interact one-on-one with the guests. As you can see right now, let me just go to, hold on a second. I'll bring you into the classroom. I'll Maureen. Oh, Maureen. Hold on, I'll bring you the view back of the class. This is just for the online students. Oh, here we are. This should go. Oh, can you bring that view back so we can see in Toria the view of the room? So Shelby, where I was. Oh, there it is. Yeah, sorry, I've forgotten. Good. Okay, so I'm going to go and speak. Good. Okay, so this is for Shelby. This is for all the students online right now. You can see everybody interacting in the room, but you can't hear them. You can hear me. Everybody's got some one-on-one time right now with the guests. If any of you would like to speak one-on-one with any of the guests, just let me
Hello,
know in the live
hello,
chat
professor.
who you would like to speak with, and
Hi,
I'll bring
professor.
that person up here, okay, to the podium, and you
Hello,
can
professor.
engage that way. But for those of you who would like to speak with Shelby, we have Shelby for another 10 minutes in Dunedin. Please
Hello,
feel free
professor.
to ask a question of Shelby if there's anything you would like to. Um,
Hello.
and your voice will be heard on the recording, or in the live chat. Your comment will be seen in the live chat, but nobody here in the room right now can be heard. Okay, so let's see. If there are no questions for Shelby, I can let Shelby go. And he's got a lot to do, but let me just check and see. Um, Nathan, Augustine, Asiani, Raven, Root, anything you would like to ask of Shelby? We still have him for a few more minutes. Vice president with a professional baseball team, the Toronto Blue Jays, major league. You know, you may not have a chance to meet a person like this again for quite some time. So, is there anything you would like to know about leadership from Raven? Go ahead.
Hi, I've been meaning to ask this
Let's see.
for Shelby.
Can you,
Toronto Blue Jays in
we
Florida.
can hear, but
Oh, hello?
Shelby, can you hear Raven? Just
Yeah, I can hear.
Oh, okay.
yeah. Okay,
Yes.
go ahead.
So
So,
Toronto Blue Jays in Florida. How does that
so we don't
work?
need to hear it, but they can hear. Okay.
What does that entail?
Can you make sure, yeah, that they can?
Well, so in Florida, we kind of refer to this as our U.S. base of operations. In
Yes. Okay. Great. Good. Yeah, they can hear on YouTube. So we're heard on YouTube. Go ahead, guys. So we're still live on YouTube, and Shelby, you can be heard, and Raven, you can be heard. Go ahead.
So it's our U.S. base of operations here. We have
Camera up there.
we have a
Fine.
spring
Yeah, they can
training
hear.
and minor league stadium behind me, which holds about 8,000 people, which we have 16 or so spring training games a year, and we hosted Major League Baseball games in 2021 during COVID. And then our player development complex. So we have 6 fields, 46 mounds, and batting cages there, and a lot of different things over at our player development complex. And that's where everybody goes in the off season. And you see a player get injured. So Jordan Romano through the season would have been in Dunedin when he was rehabilitating his injury.
But if still
He
just talking to somebody, or do you just want to talk to me?
He is
Okay.
based out of, and everything kind of happens here. So, we have a large number of staff that are here, a lot of hitting coaches, pitching coaches. We also, my team over here is marketing, sales, those type of things. So we have a pretty large number of people from the Blue Jays organizations that's based out of Dunedin, including, some of our larger scouts, and we currently have some scouting meetings happening right now, actually. So and our job is obviously working with our community groups, and we're a minor league team outside of spring training. So that's kind of what we look like in Dunedin, Florida. And everyone, we're not dissimilar than the other 29 baseball teams that all have facilities either in Florida or in Arizona.
Thank you so much.